Hello you guys. If you are new here, my name is Emily, and if you are not new here, welcome back. Happy to have you. So we are at it again with another wrap-up and TBR video. We are going to be going through all of the books that I read in November and everything that I'm hoping to read in December. I still cannot believe that we are 1 month away from 2023. That literally means 2020 was 3 years ago. Like, I'm sorry, what? So I'm just gonna dive in to what I read in November. I read 4 books in November and I listened to 1 audiobook. So I have the 4 books right here, but before I start, I'm gonna talk about what I listened to. I decided that I wanted to listen to I'm Glad My Mom Died, and it was phenomenal. I knew it was gonna be great because everyone literally told me it was, but listening to it just had this whole other effect for me. Knowing that Jeanette was the one narrating and that she was the one who actually went through all this was just like crazy to me. I have so much respect for her and I think that she is such a great influence, and I feel really bad for her and what she had to go through. And while I don't usually rate biographies or memoirs because they are so personal to the person, I am just gonna say this was a 5 out of 5. It was phenomenal. Highly recommend you pick that up either in a book copy or an audiobook. Both options I'm sure would be amazing, but that was definitely a highlight for November, was listening to that one. And then going in order for the books that I read, I started the month with It Starts With Us by Colleen Hoover. This is the sequel to It Ends With Us, and I gave this a 5 out of 5. I freaking love this book. If you're not aware, I actually gave It Ends With Us like a 4.5, 4.75 star, just because this one was much more relatable to me and people in my life versus that one, which was much darker, and I'm grateful that I can't relate to that book, but it was still such a meaningful book, so it still has a very high rating. I really enjoyed the lightness of this book while still maintaining that meaningful connection between Lily and Atlas, getting to know Atlas more and his morals and what he went through. There was just so much about this book that I adored, so this is definitely a 5-star read for me, and I highly recommend you read It Ends With Us and then you read this because it was so good. Next up, I kind of read 2 books at the same time, but I started this one first, and oh boy, did it take me a while. Magnolia Parks by Jessa Hastings. I have words. I posted a vlog last week where I talked about it a little bit, so I'm not going to dive too deep. If you want to know more about what I think, definitely go check out that vlog. It was really fun to edit and make and talk about this book, but I gave this a 3 out of 5. If you know what this book is about, it is essentially Gossip Girl on crack in London, and it follows Magnolia Parks and BJ Ballantyne in their kind of like a childhood friends to lovers relationship. However, the amount of toxicity and stupidity in their relationship was just a little bit too much for me to handle. I knew all of this going in, that it was going to be toxic, and there's cheating tropes and just a lot that I don't agree with. Thought I'd be able to handle it, thought it was something that I would maybe laugh at. No. These characters actually irritated me so much, to a point where I was having a really hard time finishing it. I think I got like around halfway and then I was just like, oh my god, can this be done? Like, I feel no sympathy for these characters. They're both making rash, stupid decisions, and I just think that they're horrible for each other. I don't really recommend this book unless you're looking for something that's super toxic and Gossip Girl-esque. I also did find myself skipping a lot of the paragraphs because it talks so much about designers and like what people are wearing, and that's just not something I care about. It honestly kind of felt like a filler to me, but the writing itself was fine. I think the 3 out of 5 was just strictly because this was technically entertaining and the writing was okay, like super easy to follow. But this was just nowhere near a favorite read for me, and I will not continue the series. So with that book, like I said, I was reading 2 at the same time. I decided to pick up the book club read, which was The Plot by Jean Hoff-Korelitz. This here was a 3.5, I believe, read. So nothing out of this world. It definitely has a super interesting concept. It is about a professor named Jake who is also an author. He wrote 1 book that was somewhat successful, and then no one ever really heard from him. He couldn't really write that much after that. He has this student named Evan who introduces this amazing plot idea, and it shocks Jake so much to his core that he's so envious that he did not think of it or write it himself. And a few years go by and he finds out that Evan actually died mysteriously and never published his book. So he knew that Evan did not share this plot with at least many people, so he decided he was going to take the idea and write it in his own words, switch a few things around, obviously, the names, stuff like that, and he became super famous and wealthy from publishing this story. And he has this like guilt for years about taking the idea, but he still does it anyway. You kind of find out something really dark about the plot that Evan came up with, and it hits really close to home for Evan, and Jake is now just figuring all of this out, trying to figure out why this one person is emailing him saying he's a thief and that he needs to admit he stole the idea. It's a whole thing. I think that this was beautifully written and executed pretty well. I was just expecting a little bit more twists and I didn't really get that. So while I do think that it was a really, really great book, the concept is something I've never heard before and I really enjoyed this author's writing. It just wasn't like an all-time favorite for me. It kept me, you know, hooked enough, but not really enough for me to be like, oh my god, you need to read this. So a 3.5 just felt right to me. So that's what I rated this. And the last book that I read in November was the first novella in the Shatter Me series, which is Destroy Me. So there is Destroy Me and Fracture Me within this one book. So essentially I read half of this, but this novella is kind of taking place around the same time as like the third quarter of Shatter Me, as well as like a little bit leading into, I'm assuming, the next book. But it's in Warner's point of view, who is the reestablishment Sector 45 leader. And I will admit, I actually thought this was really entertaining. I have much more respect for Warner now than I did in the first book, that's for sure. And I am really excited to continue the series. So I did rate this one a 4 out of 5. I really liked it. I like the pace and getting to know Warner's thoughts and how he truly feels about being the leader of Sector 45. And I'm really looking forward to the next book. I just feel like a lot of people have said the series gets better and better, and I'm starting to believe it. So 4 out of 5. Alright, moving on to what I'm hoping to read in December. I do have my best friend Shelby coming to visit me in the second or third week of December, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to get to all of these, but here is my TBR, my hopefuls. So first off, I did actually start Conversations with Friends in November, but it is now December 1st and I am halfway through this bad boy. Really enjoying it so far. I honestly might like it a little bit more than normal people at this point in time, but I will definitely know more at the end of December when I give you guys my wrap up. But Conversations with Friends is in a girl's point of view named Frances. She is 21 and her friend Bobby, who is also a girl, became friends with this married couple who are like 35 or something like that. The wife is a journalist and the husband is an actor. Bobby and the wife, Melissa, have a lot in common. Bobby has a major crush on her, and Frances is very like cool-headed, quiet, sarcastic, logical, but she is kind of crushing on the husband, Nick, and he's crushing on her, and it's just like basically about women and the intimate relationships between women and friendship and trust and all of those things, and I'm really excited to see where this goes. So far it's been really good. I love Frances's character and I'm a huge fan of Sally Rooney. I know some people aren't, but I am, so I cannot wait to let you guys know how I feel about this book next month. The next book that I'm hoping to read is actually a Christmas book that I don't have on hand right now, but that is a Cat Cafe Christmas. This is me in a Christmas book, honestly. It's about a girl who opens her own cat cafe, and she is also a veterinarian, and she's having a hard time getting the cat adoption sales into the green. So she hires this guy who, I believe it's like an enemies to lovers, but who helps her with her business and honestly just helping get cats adopted over the holidays, but he does not adopt one himself, and it's just like this whole enemies to lovers thing, but they have to work together, close proximity, and there's cats involved. So it's obviously going to be great. This is what it looks like. I will definitely let you know how I feel about it in the new year. Okay, next up, the one I want to read, but this one, if I can't get to it, I will not be mad at myself because it's a long one, and like I said, I have my best friend visiting, so no promises, but I really want to read The Nightingale, especially because the movie comes out in December and it features the two Fanning sisters, Elle and Dakota Fanning, and they have never acted together before. But this book is essentially, it's about two sisters separated by years and experience, by ideals, passion, and circumstance, each embarking on her own dangerous path towards survival, love, and freedom in German-occupied, war-torn France. It is a beautiful novel that celebrates the resilience of the human spirit and the durability of women. And it is very long, but I have been wanting to read this for so long. It's actually Noelle Gallagher's, like, one of her favorite books, and I adore her and her reviews, and I just know that she has really good taste in books, honestly. So I have been dying to read this, and if I can get to it, great. If not, I'm hoping I'll get to it in January. The next book, again, I actually don't have, but it is Lost in the Plot's book club book for the month, and that is The Santa Suit by Mary Kay Andrews. This is a short 225-page novella about a girl who buys a old farmhouse that needs some renovating. She finds in the closet this letter from a little girl just honestly wishing for her dad to come home from war. And I know that it has a little bit of mystery, trying to figure out who this little girl was, if her dad came home okay. There's second chance romance in there, and I just thought it'd be a really great, heartwarming story for the holidays to read with you guys. I also wanted to mention that December is my 1-year anniversary for Lost in the Plot book club. So I'm going to be doing something really special. If you are interested in joining and reading the book, we are going to be doing trivia. There's going to be prizes. I'm actually going to give everyone who comes to the book club a bookmark for free as a thank you for supporting the book club. And I'm so excited. I love you guys so much. Honestly, the book club means so much to me. The fact that I can go somewhere every single month and just talk about books with people, it warms my heart. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for supporting the book club. And again, if you want to join, everything is linked down below. You can also message me on my Instagram, which is also linked down below. And yeah, we can discuss details. But that is what I'm going to read for the book club. And the last book on my December TBR that I want to ring in the new year with is Nick and Charlie by Alice Oseman. I'm so excited to read this, and it's gonna fly by. It is a teen book, has very big writing, and it's only like 150 pages or so. But this backing says, everyone knows that Nick and Charlie are the perfect couple, that they're inseparable. But now Nick is leaving for university, and Charlie will be left behind at 6th form. As the time to say goodbye draws closer, both boys begin to question, is their love strong enough to survive being apart? After all, first loves rarely last forever. Why am I literally about to cry? But it says that this is literally a love story. If you don't know, this is following Nick and Charlie from the Heartstopper series, and I adore the Heartstopper series, and I'm so excited to read this, see where the relationship goes once Charlie and Nick are kind of separated for a bit because of school. Just all that, but I just cannot wait. This is definitely on my December TBR. I will absolutely be reading this, so I will give you guys my review in the new year. Alright you guys, that is everything for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed and possibly got some new book recommendations from me. Be sure to check out all of my links below, like I said before, if you are interested in joining the book club, following me on Instagram, checking out my Etsy shop, which I sell a bunch of handmade bookish accessories over there for you guys. Great ideas for gifts for the holidays. And without further ado, be sure to subscribe, and I will see you guys in my next one.